Welcome to our Explainer, where we're distilling the absolutely massive multi-day Language Education 2026 International Conference down into a curated tour of the most exciting frontiers in language learning. If you're passionate about the mechanics of human communication, you know that linguistics isn't just about, memorizing vocabulary lists or verb conjugations. It's a constantly evolving science. This conference brought together literally some of the brightest minds from the International Linguistic Society to share cutting-edge empirical research. And today, we are going to break down their most fascinating discoveries right here for you.
But hey, rather than just reading off a boring schedule of dates and times, we're going to dive right into the actual data from this conference to answer one really massive question. How exactly will we learn languages in the future? The presentations we're looking at today represent a fundamental shift in how we understand the acquisition of a second language. We are officially moving past those old rote memorization paradigms, and we're entering an era defined by deep cognitive insights, artificial intelligence, and a truly global perspective on linguistic challenges.
To do that, we've broken the conference themes down into our agenda for today. Number 1, inside the learner's mind. Number 2, AI and gamified learning. Number 3, global curriculum challenges. And finally, number 4, the future of linguistics. All right, let's jump straight into the first section, inside the learner's mind.
Because think about it. Before we can build better classrooms or code better teaching algorithms, we have to understand the pure foundational linguistics of how a human brain actually processes a new language. To do that, researchers are looking really closely at the cognitive gears turning inside a learner's mind. Keynote speaker Like von Maastricht kicked off Wednesday's sessions by bridging the gap between academic research and everyday practice regarding L2 prosody. And if you need a quick refresher, prosody is essentially the rhythm and melody of speaking a second language. When we study linguistics, it's so easy to get caught up in syntax and grammar, right? But prosody is like the invisible music of speech. It's what makes you sound natural. Von Maastricht's research highlights that teaching this rhythm is literally just as crucial as teaching the words themselves. Bridging that gap is absolutely essential for true fluency.
Now, demystifying a bit more linguistic jargon for a second, Sarah Hakot presented this fascinating research on how Mandarin and Spanish ESL learners grasp onset cluster phonotactics. That's basically the hidden rules of consonant combinations. Have you ever wondered why certain sound combinations just feel completely impossible to say when you're learning a new language? Well, this is exactly why. Every single language has strict, unspoken rules about which consonants can sit right next to each other at the start of a word. Hackett's data shows us exactly how the native linguistic wiring of Mandarin and Spanish speakers either helps or totally hinders their ability to process English consonant clusters. It is a brilliant look at the actual mechanics of pronunciation. Drilling down even further into specific linguistic mechanics, Noriko Matsumoto's presentation explored how learners express contrast between come-v and go-v sequences. This touches on spatial and directional linguistics, basically how we use language to anchor ourselves in physical space and express movement relative to the speaker. Mastering these sequences isn't just about knowing the literal translations for come and go. It actually requires the learner to mentally adopt the spatial perspective of the target language, which, if you think about it, is a massive cognitive leap. But of course, cognition is deeply tied to behavior. And Satomi Shinohei beautifully illustrated how predicting a learner's willingness to communicate actually comes down to setting goals and fostering successful communication experiences. You could understand phonotactics and prosody perfectly on paper, but if the psychological motivation isn't there, the language just remains unspoken. Shinohei's research lays out a clear, step-by-step pathway showing that early, successful communicative milestones directly predict a student's future willingness to engage. Okay, zooming out from the mind and into the classroom, we hit section 2, AI and gamified learning. Looking at the cutting-edge tools and methodologies shaping education today, it is incredibly clear that technology is no longer just a fun add-on. It's fundamentally altering the whole pedagogical landscape. Jinglin contrasted traditional learning with these really innovative gamified interventions designed specifically to boost phonological working memory in young Dutch learners. And phonological working memory is essentially the brain's sticky note for temporary sound storage. In the past, we relied on repetitive, often tedious drills to strengthen this, but Lin's research proves that gamification isn't just about making learning fun. Actually, scratch that. It is fun, but it's also a highly effective, targeted intervention that actively enhances the cognitive capacity required to hold and process new linguistic sounds. And you know AI was going to be a major focus here. Najat Squire explored translanguaging with AI in multilingual classrooms.
Translanguaging is this fascinating linguistic concept where bilingual speakers seamlessly, fluidly utilize their entire linguistic repertoire all at once. And AI is now acting as a bridge to facilitate this dynamically in real time. Meanwhile, Hanan Bada outlined AI's broader opportunities and pedagogical implications as a facilitative tool in higher education. We are rapidly entering an era where AI doesn't just translate for us, but it actively assists in the structural learning and decoding of complex linguistics. It's a real game changer.
Let's zoom out even further for Section 3, Global Curriculum and Classroom Challenges.
Because linguistics definitely doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It lives in official textbooks, national frameworks, and bustling, high-stakes classrooms all over the world. It's so fascinating to map out the vast, interconnected global scale of linguistic research here. We're jumping from the unique triple challenge of learning math and a second language in Fiji straight over to objective content analyses of Mexico's national English program in their official textbooks. Take a look at Evangeline Narayan's work in Fiji. That triple challenge refers to the incredibly heavy cognitive load of decoding the language, understanding complex mathematical concepts, and navigating the cultural context all at the same time. Then, shifting over to Mexico, we see researchers rigorously auditing national curriculums to make sure they align with the CEFR, which is the International Standard for Language Proficiency, alongside deep dives into the very linguistic paradigms that shape official Spanish textbooks. It really shows us how structural linguistics dictate national policy on a massive scale.
Which perfectly sets up our final piece, Section 4, the future of linguistics. So what does this all mean? How do all these isolated data points, from microscopic phonotactics to macroscopic global curriculums, actually come together? Well, the true value of a conference like this isn't just in the individual presentations, it's in seeing the full picture of where the science of language is actually heading. All of these data points built perfectly into Thursday's closing keynote by Samantha Curl. She revealed that the ultimate pedagogical imperative for the future is mastering the psychological and motivational dynamics of the learner. Think about it. You can have the most advanced AI, the most perfectly aligned global curriculum, and a flawless understanding of prosody. But Pearl's empirical insights remind us that English medium instruction, and really language learning at large, succeeds or fails based on the motivation of the human being at the center of it all. The future of linguistics demands that we treat the psychological state of the learner with the exact same rigorous scientific attention that we give to syntax and grammar.
As we wrap up this explainer on the Language Education 2026 conference, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to explore. How are you going to apply these emerging technological and cognitive trends to your own language journey? Whether you are trying to master the prosody of a new tongue, designing a gamified learning app, or simply trying to understand the intricate linguistic paradigms of the world around you, the tools and theories are evolving faster than ever before. So, are you ready to evolve with them? Thank you so much for exploring the fascinating future of linguistics with us today.